So nice to have you all here. Welcome. This is a powerful full moon, so there's a lot of ground to cover tonight. We're going to be talking about the full moon itself, of course, and the lunar eclipse, which follows just a few minutes after the full moon tomorrow at 4:14 for the full moon and 4:18 for the eclipse. And it's a total lunar eclipse, so it's going to be more powerful than usual. And it's a super full moon, which means the moon is closer to the Earth, and it's going to be more intense. And we also want to talk about the last of the 3 spring festivals. So there's a lot going on, and we've got a lot of ground to cover. So I think we'll just dive right in, and we'll start by a brief alignment. So if you'll please close your eyes. Taking a few gentle breaths. And put your attention on your heart. Take a few moments to feel the loving quality that resides in the heart. Feel how through this essential love that we all are, we are connected. This loving heart can dispel all obstructions to the awareness of our oneness. So let this loving heart fill the space that connects us all. Align yourself with this love and with each other. And when you are ready, just gently bring yourselves back. So the format for tonight is that I'm going to talk for a little bit about the eclipse and the super full moon, and then spend a few minutes describing the Gemini and Sagittarius energies, and then we'll close with a focus on the spring festival. So this lunar eclipse that happens, as I said, tomorrow morning at 4:18 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time is the first of 4 major eclipses that are going to occur between now and December of this year. And it's a very important and powerful lunar eclipse because it is total. And that's kind of a rare thing. And as I mentioned, it's also a supermoon, which means the moon's very close to the Earth and very intense in its brightness. The astrologers tell us that this could bring up some seismic activity. The energy of eclipses will often bring up endings or beginnings, births and deaths, and their impact can sometimes last as long as 6 months. And one of the themes of this particular eclipse is emotional sensitivity. Because it's lunar, a lunar eclipse will often shine a light on things that we weren't aware of before. So that means that repressed energies can emerge, and either confrontation or resolution can result from those energies depending upon how we use them. The planet Mercury is in the sign of Gemini, and Mercury is also one of the rulers of Gemini. So another theme will be our overactive minds, busy minds, busy minds. Oh, yay, right? But Neptune is also in the picture this full moon. So Neptune will bring us a desire to dream, to make art, to create music. There's sort of a mystical element to Neptune and to this eclipse. So it would be a good time to pay attention to your dreams this month. And because this eclipse affects both Gemini and Sagittarius, the themes of freedom, truth, and justice and belief systems will be impacted. It's a complex mix of many different elements, so this eclipse and full moon are not going to be easy to work with. Not because they're necessarily negative, but just because there's so much going on. And there's an interesting piece of information on eclipses in general. I really can't verify that this is 100% true, but I thought it was interesting to mention. In the Tibetan tradition, on the day of the eclipse, it's said that the magnitude of the karma that we generate is multiplied by a factor of 10,000 times. So, just to be on the safe side, I think we should be all very careful of our actions on that day. We don't want to incur karma times 10,000 for sure. This full moon highlights, as I said, the energies of Gemini and Sagittarius. And Gemini is a mutable sign, meaning it's very adaptable. You know, we have the mutable signs and we have the fixed signs, and the fixed signs are not very adaptable, but the mutable signs are. And Mercury is one of Gemini's rulers, as I mentioned. Therefore, most Geminis will have a very quick mind. They're mentally oriented. And Gemini is often called the sign of duality. As you saw in the glyph, there are two pillars standing next to each other, and these represent the dual nature of Gemini, sometimes called the pairs of opposites. On the level of the personality, the Gemini native struggles with the opposing forces in his nature, heart versus mind, doubt versus confidence, intellect versus emotions. And there can be the feeling of being at war within oneself, always vacillating between the ideas of right and wrong. There's the old legend about the Native American elder talking to his grandson, and he says to the grandson, "I feel like there's a war going on within me, that there are wolves that are battling." And the grandson says to him, "Well, grandfather, which one is going to win?" And the grandfather says, "The one that I feed." So that's a good reminder for us this month. We might take a moment to consider the duality within ourselves. Where might you be at war within yourself? And which side of yourself are you going to feed? And since this is a mental month, I think it would probably be good to focus mostly on our thoughts. What kind of thoughts are we going to feed? Are we going to feed the negative, the judgmental, the critical, or are we going to feed the loving and compassionate and empathetic? It's our choice. The highest expression of this duality in Gemini is the duality of the soul and the personality, the duality of spirit and matter. So the question becomes, how do we bring these two together? How do we blend them? I think that's what the evolutionary journey is all about. It's about becoming a soul-infused personality. And it's probably a lifelong process, maybe more than one lifetime it will take us to do that. I'm pretty sure it will. More about the Gemini personality. Geminis can be very moody and indecisive because they tend to see all sides of the issue. And Mercury, as the messenger of the gods, is one of the rulers of Gemini, as I stated. This tends to make the Gemini personality a lover of information. Geminis love to collect and distribute information. But what it is distributing is the product of his busy mind. It's just information. Gemini is known as a transmitter, but on the level of the soul, what is transmitted is pure spiritual qualities, not just mundane facts. The Gemini personality is usually very active. Geminis usually need to move a lot. They can't sit still very well. They need people around, and they don't like to be alone. Remember, these are vast generalities, and the specifics of it depend upon the chart. So I'm just giving you broad strokes of Gemini. Geminis usually like to be everywhere at once. So think about the people you know who may have Gemini strongly in their chart and see if any of this fits them. It's helpful to know that these are qualities that most Geminis have, and that way can help us from being too judgmental. But everything in the environment stimulates a Gemini and impresses him. And the job for the Gemini is to find his inner strength. He needs the balancing energy of Sagittarius, his opposite sign. Sagittarius is one-pointed, focused, goal-oriented, and directed. So when the Gemini personality gets too chaotic and too out there and here, there, and everywhere, if he calls upon the Sagittarian energy, he can regain his focus and his clarity and his direction. The soul ruler of Gemini is Venus. Mercury is the personality ruler. Venus is the soul ruler, which just means that as the Gemini personality evolves to become more united with his soul, then that soul ruler will have more of an impact on him. So Venus, as the soul ruler, is the energy of love. And Venus is the energy that can connect the opposing forces within the Gemini individual. And she brings it into a fluid synthesis, so just sort of melds it all together, so there's not so much separation. She transmutes those opposing forces into one united whole. So all of those warring parts begin working together. So when you become aware of parts of your personality that are doing battle, you can invoke the energy of Venus, invoke love and harmony, and see if it can transform the battle into a united expression of healing love. So I'd like to read you now a perfect quote for the evolved Gemini person. It's from the Tao. The place where the this and the that are not opposed to each other is called the pivot of the Tao. When we find this pivot, we find ourselves at the center of the circle. And here we sit, serene, while yes and no keep chasing each other around the circumference endlessly. So, that's the challenge, right? Is to not be chasing our mind around endlessly, but to find a way to come to that center point and sit there and just observe the comings and goings of the mind. So a little bit about full moons. Full moons always give us an opportunity to open a new chapter in our lives. So let us use these energies this month to become better listeners. The tendency will be to talk a lot, to share a lot, to distribute information. But what if we made it our intention to become better listeners? Not so much chatter, not so much monkey mind. Let our minds be open to hear, to understand, to ask questions, and to listen to the answers that we receive intuitively. You know, there's a whole different feeling when we meet someone with an intention to listen, to understand, rather than to respond or to react, or to be thinking about what you're going to be saying next or what story you're going to tell next. If we go into a conversation with the intention to just understand what the other person is saying, we don't need to take a stance on it. We just are there with our hearts open, wanting to understand the other person's position. Wouldn't that be great to have more of that in our world right now? And I think it's important that we be discerning in the information that we take in this month, especially since it's such a mental month. Let's choose what we want to take into ourselves. This full moon has a lot of positive energy which can inspire our lives and show us the way and bring wisdom and understanding if we're open and receptive. So let's talk for a few minutes now about the Spring Festival. After receiving the blessing from the Buddha last month at the Wesak Festival, the Christ has been holding this sacred energy in trust until the moment of this full moon in the sign of Gemini. He then transmits it as a potent blessing of love unto all of humanity. And we are the blessed recipients of this downpouring. And therefore it's important that we consciously open ourselves to receive this blessing. This full moon festival is called by many names. It's called the Festival of the Christ, because it is the Christ who dispenses the energy. The Festival of Humanity, because humanity receives it. And the Festival of Goodwill. It's called the Festival of Goodwill because the Christ transmits the energy of pure unconditional love. And not everyone can accept that and receive it unto themselves. It's too potent an energy. So most of humanity will accept this energy into themselves as the will to good. Someone just gets inspired to do good. So it's called the Festival of Goodwill. It's sort of a stepped-down version of the unconditional love that the Christ demonstrates. It's up to us and the choices that we make that will determine how we use this powerful blessing. The soul-centered goal of Gemini is intelligent love, the blending of the heart and the head. So think about how you can join those two energies in your life this month. How can you demonstrate intelligent love? How can you bring your head and your heart together? This full moon day also coincides with what's called the World Invocation Day. And this has been around for a long time. In 1952, in fact, on this very day, Eleanor Roosevelt read the Great Invocation over the radio that touched thousands of people. So it is that on this day, people from all over the world are encouraged to recite the Great Invocation many times throughout the day as a way to send up a powerful, invocative appeal to the great ones to pour down upon us the love and light and power. This is the power of a united invocative appeal. We are promised that there will be an evocative response. And the potency of that response depends upon the power of the invocation. So the more united we become in our intention and the more people gather to recite this invocation, the more powerful the blessing will be. So I invite you to participate in this worldwide endeavor by reciting the Great Invocation as many times as is possible for you on this day. The Tibetan master Dwal Kul has this to say about this important day. I quote, "The power of united prayer and meditation is as yet a little used resource. On World Invocation Day, we have the opportunity to marshal this power, to aid the forces of light upon planet Earth. To invoke is to call upon, to petition for help or support, to appeal to. In the case of World Invocation Day, The appeal is being made to God and to the overshadowing beneficent forces to come to the aid of humanity and the planet. In response to our united invocative appeal, it is said that the invocation could change our lives, reorient our purpose, expand our consciousness, and stabilize us in spiritual being. It could also disrupt and rebuild the planetary thought form and open the door into the new age, thus ushering in the new and better civilization. This could be done so rapidly, he continues to say, that the needed changes would come about almost overnight, and humanity could settle down to a life of group goodwill, individual harmlessness, and right human relations. Please join us in this global day of prayer, meditation, and invocation. Together, we can change the world. End quote. So on that note, let us now prepare for our meditation. So make sure you're comfortable, that you will not be disturbed. Allow yourselves to have this time free of interruptions and distractions. So closing your eyes, notice your posture and see if you can sit with your spine relatively erect without any tension or discomfort. Begin by taking a few deep cleansing breaths. Allow the breath to travel throughout your body, quieting, calming, creating softness and gentleness with every inhalation. Let this life breath help you to come home into the body, to settle, to relax. Feel the stresses of the day release as you exhale. And now imagine that the color violet is filling your room. This is the color of Gemini. Breathe it into your heart space and allow it to open your heart so that you are receptive to the downpouring of love that will occur as we invoke these energies of Gemini. Be aware now of your consciousness expanding, opening up, reaching up to the spiritual realms. see now, in your mind's eye, the image of the Christ. You can imagine him in any way that resonates with you, but picture a spiritual being as clearly and fully as you can. Become aware of the energy of love that emanates from his being, and align yourself to that energy. Feel it enter your body, filling every cell with love. Now imagine it expanding and enfolding your entire auric field. Then, with the conscious act of focused will, send forth your appeal, your demand that the Christ release the energies of love throughout the planet. We are told that whenever we invoke, there will be a response. So know that as you do this, an intense magnetic field of transforming power is being created that will draw the needed energies onto the earth. Be open and receptive now again to these powerful energies. Imagine this unconditional love infusing your relationships now, creating harmony, resolution, and healing. And take a moment now to send this healing energy of love to everyone you know who is suffering, or in pain, or in need of healing. Just say their names silently to yourself with the intention of filling their bodies with this love. And give thanks now that this blessing has been received and is doing its work of healing. This powerful love is also badly needed by our world. Let us open our hearts in love to all of humanity. Let us offer this prayer. I open myself to the power of grace that lives in each of us as goodness, that is never absent and radiates peace and lights the way to transformation. With purity of motive, inspired by a loving heart, we offer ourselves for this work of healing. This offer we make as a group to the ones we seek to heal. We feel a deep love pouring into us, the love of God and the love of humanity. We focus at the Ajna center, the center between the eyebrows. We see that we are points of radiant light, and we radiate this light, blended with the healing rays of the Christ, from our Ajna center into the world. And we say silently together, may the love of the one soul focused in this group radiate upon humanity and every nation, especially the Middle East. May it heal, soothe, strengthen, and dissipate all that hinders service to the world. We believe in the results of our work. We hold this deep, radiating love throughout the next 3 days. A love that is safeguarded by our intentions and by our work together. We see the healing energies being received by all of humanity and by every nation. And thus we see the nations and humanity stabilized, restoring right human relationships between countries, nations, and individuals. This love is constant and continuous. Wherever we are, within us, we create a healing dimension, radiating outward from ourselves the will to good, the will to love. And so it is. Give yourselves a few minutes now to return. making sure you are grounded in the earth and fully in your body. Perhaps wiggle your feet and your fingers. Feel yourself solidly in your chair. And when you are ready, please open your eyes. And of course, I couldn't have a ceremony without a poem. So I'd like to read this one to you. It's called Be Received by M. Clare. It doesn't really have a whole lot to do with Gemini, but I think it has a whole lot to do with where most of us are right now. Move slowly from these old skins. Your belly is raw. Your back is tender. You are rudimentary now. Move softly from these old skins. Let the full body weight of all of your innocence down. Be received. Be received by the broad worth of your worthiness. Cast off everything everyone else has known for you. Move gratefully from these old skins. And this time, if you toughen, decide for whom. All right, friends, let's close with the Great Invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. See if you can visualize light pouring into the planet again. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you, dear friends. Blessings to you all. Have a wonderful month.